And good evening. This is Edward with sonsofgod.com. It's June 19th, Saturday evening, 2010. I'd like to continue talking in this series about the School of Prophets, and we're really focusing and concerned about moving into a deeper level of discerning, both the discerning of spirits and moving in the word of wisdom. Last summer, we wrote a word called the integration of the spirit, soul, and body. And just a little before that, a word on the seer prophet. And several years before that, a number of words on what has been happening within our bodies as they are coming alive to the Spirit. I want to address a couple of things briefly. We've been increasingly getting more and more emails from many of you about the experiences that you're beginning to have within your bodies as far as what we would call signs, just a whole level of awareness of what is happening, and questions more and more on really understanding what these signs mean. We're definitely in a time that God is integrating what we are as an entity or being before Him, both our spirit, our soul, and our body, which Hebrews talks about how God is going to preserve us blameless, spirit, soul, and body. There is a transformation that we have been in the midst of, and we continue to be in the throes of this. We've talked about this before. There's definitely a change that is afoot, a change that is happening within our entire vibrational level, where you cease striving to enter into an awareness, and it just begins to happen all around you as your senses come alive. The word on the signs in the body, I know some have not understood it and have had actually an occasion against it, but all that we can really say once again, both Anne and I, is that we're in a process of coming alive. And I believe that is what everyone is looking for. You're looking to come fully alive. You realize there's a lot more than what you've experienced at this level. What we see unfolding is the change within us, both on a physical level, the level of our soul, and a freedom that is coming to our spirit to really begin to enter into the deeper ministry of Christ. And what we've talked about is the process of integration that is happening as God begins to integrate you, and you stop being a spirit out there functioning, doing God's will, God's bidding, for the most part unbeknownst to yourself. And then you have a soul that is constantly in conflict and at odds against what God is doing, because once again, the seat of the soul being within the scope of the mind, and I know we spoke recently about the renewing of the mind, but we also know that the mind is enmity to God. Nothing is revealed to the mind. God reveals through your spirit, which is then filtered down to your mind. That's why it's very difficult at times in talking about things that God is opening up, because there takes a level of the renewing of the mind for the individual to really even be able to comprehend what God is doing, to comprehend those things which are opening up. And then of course we have the level of the physical, which is also in the midst of both the conflict and the scope of the regeneration. As God begins to regenerate you and bring you alive to a world of spirit. So imagine with me for a moment all of your essence, your spirit, the soul, the function of your mind, and your body, which is somewhat tethered to this level, coming alive to God, where you begin to sense, feel, and experience the realm of spirit, both physically and through the faculties of your mind, as all of it is filtered down from your spirit. God is very determined. He's very jealous, as the Scripture speaks, for the Spirit that He's caused to dwell within each of us. And what we're looking for is an ascendancy of the Spirit over the soul, where the soul stops lording over the Spirit and determining what you will and will not do, but rather your spirit begins to move into a level of ascendancy over all that you are, and you truly indeed begin to function as a spiritual person. If you have not yet entered into a certain level of what I would call the regeneration of the body, then I admonish you to reach in and believe for it. It's not some weird, wacky thing that all of a sudden someone's talking about pains in the legs and jabs in the temples as if it's just some strange New Age thing. It's not. It's a renewing of all that you are as you come alive to God in every faculty that He has given you, spirit, soul, and body. And as this continues to unfold, you will find a greater level of the experience of dreams and of visions, both your audible sense of hearing and your ability to see as you begin to see with the eyes of your spirit. And that really only happens as your spirit begins to move in ascendancy over all that you are. Spirit sees, your spirit knows. It's just the physical and the soul that is struggling and grappling with the illusion. And we've brought words about the spirit of illusion and all of that that's around us, because what you see with your eyes, what you touch with your hands, for the most part, is illusion. Because what is real and what is truth is that which is born of spirit and in spirit. We know the God of this age can manipulate circumstances and everything else to appear in one way, even though it's not the truth, trying to bait you to accept the illusion as if it would be your truth. We're definitely in a time of tremendous accelerated change, and I have sensed for the last month or two that God is ramping things up. There is another layer being taken off of God's sons, and we've spoken about that in the words of the sight. We've been in a progressive change, layer after layer being taken off. And you can say, I'm reaching in, Lord, I'm reaching in for you to empower me. I'm reaching in for you to give me these gifts, to whatever. When in actuality, what we're looking for through this deep work of preparation and the work of the cross is that God begins to get in and just strip layer after layer off of you. That's really what it is. Until all of a sudden your eyes see what was clearly right here all along, but you were not capable of seeing it because there were layer after layer that had to be removed. So I bless you. I bless you as you move into this level of the renewing of the body, renewing of the soul, renewing of the mind, that your spirit begins to move in ascendancy over all that you are. And when we're talking about discernment, we're talking about more than just discerning a situation, discerning an individual. We're talking about being able to discern the realm of spirit and to be able to see through the veil, through the cloud, through the fog that has been essentially blanketed over the face of the earth. So we send our blessings to you. We loose you into the deeper levels of change and transformation God is bringing right now.